Hello and welcome to the 310 to Left podcast. Rolling on, under 3 weeks left in the season, and the train is still on track, we think. Tom Karen from Nesson, along with Alex Spear of the Boston Globe. Alex, how are you?
I'm just wondering about the update of the Karen line and whether or not fractions factor into it, right? Because like as we sit here, the Red Sox are 3 games back with just under it, with I guess we would call it 2.7 weeks remaining in the season. Do you round up and
Yeah,
say that they are
I
still
do.
within
I,
the
I do. I round up through Thursday at midnight. That is my unofficial belief. Once you hit the weekend series, you are now rounding down. So, as we sit here, and by the way, surprisingly, this dawned on me last night. This is this series, and we're doing this on Monday. Most of you hear it on Tuesday. But as we do this, actually, no, we're doing this on Tuesday. It's late in the season. So actually, we are doing this on Tuesday, and I think you'll hear it today. So there you go. But we sit here. These are the final weekday games of the season at Fenway. Did you realize that? It's a strange schedule at the end. The last two series are weekend series. So
that
they hit the road.
I did not know that. Well, I
Yeah.
guess that I guess it's all about the Friday Sunday divide for the Red Sox moving forward and
Yes.
figuring out
Yes.
that like
So at this
the
point,
final
at this
task.
point, yes. So at this point, though, Alex, to answer your question, they are it. Since I am the Karen of the Karen line of contention, I make the rules. They are, along with the Tigers and the Mariners, they are back under the line of contention. So they are back in the mix as we speak. And I keep thinking of Al Pacino. Is it Godfather 2 when he says, just when I think they're out, they pull me back in? He spent all of last week writing the eulogies, saying goodbye to the 2024 Red Sox. No matter what happens, and Alex Cora said it post game, right? Last night, he goes, we're still in it. I don't know how. But you're in it because there are teams ahead of you that can't seem to find a way to win either. And they have left the door slightly ajar. I haven't looked today. Do you know what the playoff odds today? I'm assuming they're still hovering under 10%. But here
I
you
haven't looked at
are.
the odds, but it's I have not looked at them today, but they have 3 games against the Twins. Yeah,
Right.
they have to they have to contend with the fact that there are other teams that have now edged in front of them as well. But wow, this is taking on a different complexion in the latter part of September or the middle part of September than any of us anticipated, I think.
And Carolyn just jumped in and said 11%. So they've actually popped up about 3% over the last couple of days. It does make you think of what could be if that ninth inning didn't happen Sunday, but we won't go there. I thought Dave O'Brien had an interesting point last night. He said basically, if you win every series, you have to win every single series the rest of the way, which would mean taking 3 out of 4 in New York, right? Which is never an easy task to ever win a 4-game series. But if you did that the rest of the way, you would essentially be, I'm doing this on the fly, 8-4, you'd be 9, you'd be 12-6 the rest of the way, which would put you at 85 wins. Generally, 85 wins isn't enough to get you in, but the way the teams are playing, and again, believing that that would mean you took 2 out of 3 from Minnesota minimum, you might be close. You might be close. So that's a simple goal. Win every single series. They haven't shown us they can do that since before the All-Star break. But here we are. They pounded the Orioles in game one. Orioles are kind of in a little free fall of their own right now. Maybe you're getting them at the right time. But that was a good one last night as far as if you're going to try to convince people you still have a pulse, do it with a 12-run, 15-hit attack and, back-to-back home runs twice from the same two people. Just the second time in Red Sox history that's happened. It was a fun night at the ballpark.
And again, it was all the outfield, by the way. Like all 12 RBIs from the outfielders yesterday, including 4 more from Cedar Rafael in the 9 spot, making him the second player ever with 4 games of 4 RBIs from the 9 spot in a single season. Shout out to Kevin Elster for his 5 in 1996 with the Rangers. But it's a strange team. It's a team that doesn't have that defies pattern, that defies expectations, that leaves its own manager saying he doesn't know exactly how it is that they remain in contention. But here we are. I think that as we kind of like make sense of the schedule, the one part that I would point to as the closest to an absolute with regards to a single series is that they probably like is that their biggest thing is sweeping the Twins, because the Twins, if they do not sweep them, would own the tiebreaker in the American League wildcard race. So granted, the Twins are now in free fall, so maybe that's not as relevant as I'd been looking at, but that's a pretty significant, even if they split four with the Yankees, I think that there are other ways around that. And 85, 86 is kind of what we've always identified as as the line of, in this world of two wild card spots, well, you're kind of in it around 85 or 86. The last year you had the Diamondbacks kind of sneaking in at 86, and the Cubs falling just short at 84 with their late season struggles. So they're in a position where that where that lowest rung of the ladder is attainable.
Well, and what 85 wins does, if you get to 85 wins, it means you have hung around this thing for the final 3 weeks of the season, which frankly, that would be a pretty impressive feat considering where you were. If you go into, I use Thursday at midnight as a device. If you got to Friday at the end of the season, if you came to Fenway Park for the final series, not yet eliminated, I would take that as a win. After what we've seen, not over the last few weeks, but going back to what the expectations were at the beginning of the year, just hang around and make these final few weeks of baseball meaningful, and they're on the verge of doing that, which is good. And part of the reason why is because of a guy who got a start. Now they lost the game Sunday, but Richard Fitz was really impressive. 5 2/3 innings. The only 2 runs were unearned. He gave up 6 hits. They were all singles. Got himself out of it with a couple of double plays. What did you think of Richard Fitz on Sunday?
Impressive poise. It is, of course, a little bit difficult to get a great read about how a pitcher is doing against the White Sox, who have been just woeful. And I actually saw the White Sox playing in Camden Yards while I was visiting some family over Labor Day, and it was amazing looking at the scoreboard, because at Camden Yards they list both lineups by OPS, and it was like, oh, everyone in the White Sox has a worse OPS than everyone on the Orioles. Basically, that's actually a great team to debut against, right? Like, as you're trying to get your bearings, you're kind of controlling one variable. Nonetheless, I think he deserves immense credit for the amount of poise that he showed, the ability to manage the game, the fact that he was calm enough to execute a pickoff move, the fact that he was able to turn a double play in a key moment, the fact that he pitched with confidence. And I think that that's kind of what you look for. You want to see a guy on the mound who looks like he's not overwhelmed by the moment, but who instead looks like he is pretty convinced that he belongs on that stage. So, the degree of difficulty is going to be changing. But to your point, Tom, it's very interesting to see him as a call-up whose call-up is meant to keep the team in the race, rather than one who's just being kind of called up because they're out of it, where there's a different level of expectations and demands. And I thought that it was overall, just the composure. Just the composure alone made it a very impressive performance.
Well, and the fact that it has been so long since we've talked about a starting pitcher getting called up, who could have an impact not only for the short term, but maybe the long term future. Richard Fitz represents the type of promotion that we've all been waiting to see from this organization, right? We just haven't seen these guys.
Yeah, the Red Sox hadn't promoted a pitcher for a start since Brian Bayo. And in the interim time, I actually wrote an article about this on Saturday before they made the decision to switch over to Fitz as their Sunday starter, with Bayo being pushed back. In the interim time, every other team in Major League Baseball had called up a starter to make his big league debut. The Red Sox and the Phillies were the only teams not to do so in that roughly 2.5 season span. And then they both called up a guy to debut. Both of them acquired in trades on the same Sunday. But yeah, the Red Sox, one of the real problems of the Red Sox dropping off after the All-Star break year after year after year, in my eyes, has been the fact that they have not had a renewable pipeline. They have something extraordinary when you're looking at Bayo, Crawford, and Houck all making 25 plus starts. This is the first time since 2012 that the Red Sox had 3 true homegrown starters making 25 plus starts in the same year. but they haven't backfilled the pipeline beyond that, which is part of the reason why in the second half you've seen the Red Sox just leaking on their pitching side. And so maybe Fitz represents, who's made some interesting adjustments since coming over from the Yankees, represents a step towards them helping to kind of like plug the gap and create something. They're still at a point where there's a great deal of imbalance in terms of where their position prospects are versus their pitching prospects, but they need to find more Richard Fitzes moving forward in order to be a team that doesn't have these kinds of first half, second half drop offs.
By the way, I think it's clear that both the Red Sox and Phillies are avid readers of your column. So congrats on affecting change once again. Once they realized that and read that, they had to set about changing that. So well done, Alex.
Good to know that there's an active readership. Yes, very grateful for that.
We're very engaged. All right, let's get to it. Richard Fitz, fresh off his major league debut, one of the three pitchers acquired. And actually, before we get to that, Alex, let's just talk about that real quick. That trade is looking better and better, especially, Greg Weissert comes in relief after Fitz pitches. Richard Judas just wrapping up his first major league, his first professional year at single A. So we'll see where he factors in. But it hasn't gone great for Verdugo, though he hit a home run last night. Maybe not coincidentally because the Martian was in the same lineup after being called back up. But, there's been a lot of talk about taking Verdugo out of the lineup. Meantime, you have helped bolster the depth of your pitching organization-wide with that one trade. So you've got to look back at that one and say they got it right.
Yeah, well, I think that there's a lot there. Like with Verdugo, his time in Boston was obviously at its end, right? Like that was so you needed to move him. I will say that in the same way that he was a very strong contributor for the Red Sox in the first half of 2023 before he fell off, he was an important part of the Yankees getting off to the good start that they did this year at a time when they were still trying to find their footing. So the overall picture of his performance has been, I think he has not delivered on what they hoped that he would be, right? Like you're hoping by this point that not only is he going to be a valuable guy who you want to get postseason at bats to, but that he's going to be someone where you're making a qualifying offer so you can get a draft pick if he signs elsewhere. And that's probably not going to be the case for where Alex Verdugo's season has gone with the Yankees. So yes, he's had a strange year and one in which, once again, we've seen his own first half, second half demons kind of emerging once again. But I think in terms of what the Red Sox got in return, yeah, they unquestionably addressed some areas of need, and they're in a better place organizationally and down the stretch as a result of making that trade. And of course, Verdugo would have been part of a way too left-handed outfield dynamic here anyway. And so his departure meant a lot of at-bats for Tyler O'Neill. And as we're seeing, those have been pretty valuable for the Red Sox as well.
Saw it last night, no doubt about that. 2 more home runs, 7 multi-home run games for O'Neill now. That's tied with Jim Rice and others for third most in Red Sox history in a single season. All right, let's get to it. Richard Fitz made his major league debut on Sunday, as we said, 2 unearned runs over 5 2/3 innings. Really interesting cerebral pitcher trying to make himself the best version of himself at the major league level. He's the guest on this edition of the 310 to Left podcast. Richard Fitz, starting pitcher of the Boston Red Sox, joining us here on 310 to Left. That's still going to sound pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime that you have the Boston Red Sox in front of your name is a good day.
Thanks for joining us so quickly after your major league debut. Take us through the 48 hours from getting the call Saturday, the 7-hour drive in the rain, to finding yourself on the mound on a Sunday matinee at Fenway Park. Have you been able to put it all in perspective yet?
No, to say the least. Just I can't thank the Red Sox enough. My wife, my family for everything. They really helped me out, just kind of make it as comfortable as it could be for a major league debut. And you mentioned the 7-hour drive in the rain. My wife did the whole trip, and she didn't complain once. So she's awesome. She coordinated everybody family wise getting together. So yeah, she's a trooper, and she did a great job.
That's some serious multitasking to be working out everyone who's attending at the same time that you're responsible for driving. Are you doing anything? Are you going over advanced reports on the way? in your own head. What's going on with you on that 7 hour drive?
Yeah, well, for one thing, I was just mentally preparing for pitching in Fenway for the whole experience, everything like that. And then on top of that, I also had about four assignments of homework that I had to do. So I knew I wouldn't be able to get it done on Sunday with the game and stuff. So I had to work on some homework.
Please clarify. What do you mean by homework?
I'm in school right now. I'm finishing up my degree from Auburn online right now. So pretty much as soon as we get done with this call today, I'm going to work on some homework before heading to the field. So I actually talked to my professors before my outing on Sunday and said, hey, like can't have access to my computer on Sunday because of all that's happening. They gave me an extension on one of my quizzes. Got to do it yesterday, so can't thank them enough for that either. So I did pretty well in the quizzes too, so that's good.
Let's help you out getting more extensions. The professor's name in the class that you're taking, please.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was David Green. He was in my finance class, so I really appreciate it.
What's the degree? What are you getting? What are you going after?
Yeah, right now I'm working on my just my undergrad degree in business administration. I went to Auburn, wanted to finish it up. They have a great online program, so able to do everything remotely.
And are you on this spring? Where are you in the process?
Yeah, I'm supposed to graduate in spring if I'm able to take all my hours. So yeah, uh, I don't know if I'll be able to walk, obviously, but I'm probably gonna get like a cap and gown, maybe walk around Fenway or something.
There you go. I think we can arrange that. Take us through that decision though, because I find that fascinating. Right? You could have decided I want to do this, but I'll do it after my career. I want to do it, but I want to. Why continue now? And was that a tough decision at all to balance all of this and try to manage all the time commitments?
Yeah, it was a tough decision. For one, because school's hard, and uh, talking yesterday with just some of the guys in the locker room. I'm not letting my baseball be affected by my schoolwork at all, but it is tough where I got to sit in the room for a little bit in the hotel instead of exploring Boston to do homework. So ultimately the decision was just I really want to have my degree from Auburn. Take a lot of pride in the fact that I went to Auburn and also have my wife looking at me every day. She's doing master's classes right now, working on a counseling degree. So she's like, I'm doing schoolwork on a master's degree. You can at least finish your undergrad. So she's awesome. She's way smarter than I am.
So this is fascinating, and like it actually kind of offers an interesting framework to think about how you probably approach development, right? Like because in a certain way, development is a series of a series of homework problems in some ways, right? Like you're talented enough to get drafted out of Auburn and by the Yankees in 2021. This year, though, it seems to me like you have had some very interesting developments in order to be able to position you for this call up. So let's kind of wind back to like what were the homework assignments that the Red Sox were giving you out of spring training this year, and and then I'd love after that to kind of dive in on some of the specific developments that you've had.
Yeah, I love just the homework thought of it, but one thing is always going to be velocity on the fastball. That's something just trying to figure out something. Maybe it's just rotating a little bit more. Maybe it's just pushing off a little bit more, doing that kind of stuff. So really, just trying to figure out the best way I can do that, and then just developing my off speed. Last year and basically my whole professional career, I've relied on my fastball a lot, even when the velocity wasn't there. I felt like I could throw it where I wanted to. So as I've gone up levels, the strikeouts have kind of dwindled down a little bit. So trying to figure out how I can have elite off-speed pitches while still maintaining my fastball.
Well, it's kind of interesting to think about it in that context, though, right? Because like that had obviously been a discussion point. Okay, when Richard throws 94 plus, like we're seeing like consistent, excellent success, and then when it's below that mark, then it's a less effective pitch. But you have reached that's a starting point. But it seems to me that like this year you have changed an awful lot as a pitcher, right? Like the usage rate of your fastball has dropped considerably because welcome to the Boston Red Sox circa 2024.
Right.
And at the same time, where we've seen, it seems like as the season has progressed, you've switched from a changeup to more of a split. And also, you went from more of a kind of like sweeper to like, to working in more of a harder slider slash, with also sometimes incorporating it probably based on the handedness of the batter. I mean, are you a very different pitcher than you were in March of 2024?
Yes and no. I think everything that you said is exactly right. There have been a lot of things that have changed Arsenal wise, but uh, I feel very confident in the fact that I still feel like I'm Richard Fitz when I'm up on the mound. I don't feel like I'm changing who I am to fit the mold that the Red Sox kind of wanted me to fit in. It's been kind of something where the Red Sox are pushing me to be the very best that I possibly can be, and right now I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot where all my pitches are moving how I kind of want to, and if I can get the consistency of being able to throw it up on a big league mound, then I feel like I'm going to be pretty good.
One of the byproducts of all this, right, is you're getting ground ball outs. I think a 42.4% ground ball rate in Worcester, the highest of your career. And we saw it on display pretty quickly, right? The fourth inning, the fifth inning, you get those double plays to get out of the inning. How much confidence have you built in that ability to get the ground ball, get out of an inning with the defense?
Yeah, for sure. I think if you were to tell me last year and the year before that I would be getting two or three double plays in a game, I'd tell you you're crazy. I mean, just I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just felt like I never got those opportunities, and then all of a sudden in my debut, I get two of those opportunities. One of them I get to even start. So it gives me some confidence that even when a guy's on first base with less than two outs, that I'm still one pitch away, and that's a lot more. It's a lot more comforting to have that situation than, hey, I got to strike out two guys, or hey, I got to make sure that I keep it in the ballpark. So feeling pretty good about it. That just goes back to the development of the pitches. The changeup's been a good pitch for me, and being able to throw the harder slider, get ground balls has been really good.
It is really interesting to think about the overall picture of changes that have been made this year. Like, part of the reason why I say that is because it felt to me like there were different intervals where you were kind of knocking on the door, right? Like, where it was like, I wonder if the Red Sox are going to be in need of a starter coming up from AAA, and I wonder if Richard Fitz is going to be the guy. How much were you asking yourself that question over the first 5 months of the season?
Yeah, I found myself a few times getting lost in it a little bit. Wondering if I was getting the call the next day, or hey, there's a double header coming up with at the big league level. Like I could start that game, that kind of thing. And but it's not my decision. If it were my decision, I could have been up here way earlier. But I don't know if that's the best decision. I think the Red Sox do a great job of communicating, and they did a great job throughout the whole season of letting me know exactly where I stood and kind of exactly what I needed to work on to be a Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, you've always had a low walk rate, and I love the quote a while back when you said, "I'd rather give up a single, tip my cap, and get on to the next guy, right, than give in and walk him." How challenging can that be, though? How was it Sunday? You're going up against guys who have just elite discipline at the plate. Take us through that next challenge, that the next level cat and mouse game you're going through on the mound.
Yeah, definitely. I think one thing that is going to change from here on out is just the scouting reports might be a little bit better. I noticed immediately that the White Sox came out swinging. I felt like even if I did get to two strikes, it was like I got to throw this out of the zone if I'm going to get a strikeout, or they're going to put it in play. I had a lot of weak contact, but ultimately I honestly thought the zone might have been even a little bit bigger just based off of the challenge system in AAA. Through I think one or two pitches, and I looked at the hitter and kind of thought they were going to tap their head and say challenge, but so the strike zone, I feel comfortable with it. It kind of opened up a little bit, and it's fun, it's weird, it's cool, it's all the things.
I remember talking to you in the dugout down in Fort Myers during that spring breakout game, right? You went to 3 innings,
Yeah.
and you had that experience to be part of that. And I remember being struck right away by what a cerebral pitcher you are, right? You're a guy who has always tried to improve, always tried to tinker with things. And listen, you come to this organization, and at that time you were just getting your feet wet with the Red Sox organization, right? But Andrew Bailey, Justin Willard, like this pitching group, Craig Breslow down, has gotten a lot of attention for kind of the lab they've created, right? The taking you guys into it and helping you maximize your potential. What's that been like? Take us as a student who's doing his homework. What's it been like learning from these new professors with the Red Sox?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome. From the very day that I got traded, the next day I was talking to Justin Willard and trying to figure out what our game plan is moving forward in my development, and that was immediately when we started talking about eliminating vertical break on my changeup and adding more sweep to my sweeper, and I think just as a full development piece, the changeup has been a crazy pitch that if you were to tell me that I'd throw the metrics that I am on my changeup right now last year, I would tell you you're crazy. I'd tell you that I probably changed my arm slot. I probably did something crazy, but that just goes to show that these people like I've been pitching for a long time and never once have I thrown a pitch like that. And then all of a sudden I'm able to do it. Pretty much my first bullpen, they tell me to do something. So they're awesome. It's like I said, they communicate really well with me, and I couldn't be happier for it.
Just to clarify on that changeup conversation, like it does register now as a split, like or is it two different pitches? Did you just change the grip and decide to throw it harder? Like what's going on there?
Yeah, I've been throwing a changeup, as you could call it, all year. I've changed the grip a little bit, but still kind of stuck to the calling it a changeup. Yeah, I've been playing around with like the kick change, almost spiking it with my middle finger and throwing it as hard as I can, kind of trying to cut it and get different kind of movements on it. So it's been a changeup the whole time, but you are right, it's getting that splitter action, which I actually really like because I threw a splitter in college for a little bit.
So, kind of moving back into the whole development piece, were there moments where you mentioned that there were times when you were kind of wondering about like maybe this doubleheader? Like, were there times during the season where you were like almost losing sleep, like thinking about like is my call coming? Is my call coming? Or were you just process oriented? Like I'm focusing on development. I'm where my feet are.
Yeah, I tried my best to stay where my feet are. I think it's important for us as athletes just to kind of keep trying to get better every single day. Today I'm going to the field and it's at Fenway and I'm super excited for that. But I'm gonna try and get better today. Uh, I haven't reached my maximum potential yet, and that's something that I tried to think of the whole year of just there's a reason I'm not up there. It's because I need to get better at something. I need to do this. I'm not good enough yet. Just talking to my mind so that I can work harder every single day. But also when I step on the mound, it's like, hey, I am the best pitcher out there. I can get these outs and I can keep grinding until I get to the big leagues.
And of course, as schedule would have it, right, the Yankees are next, going to New York for 4 games. And, for fans who haven't heard the story, you were actually with Garrett Whitlock and Cooper Criswell when you got the news of the trade. And take us back through that, just kind of the shock value, right? That these are two teams that don't make a lot of deals, right? And you find out that you're going
Yeah.
from one side of the rivalry to the other. What was that like?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest shock to me was that I felt my phone ringing in my pocket. Uh, for some reason, I just never feel my phone vibrate when I'm in like a public setting, and I guess it was just the sign that like, hey, like this is something big happening. Is that my phone was ringing in my pocket? So but it was an awesome experience. I can't thank the Yankees enough for taking a chance on me out of college. I had a rough junior year, and I just can't thank them enough for that. I feel like I got a lot better as a Yankee, and then switching over to the Red Sox, I was really excited, and just for the opportunity and getting to talk with everybody new, and I feel like I've gotten a lot better since joining the Red Sox too. So I just two great organizations, and I'm happy to kind of have my name on both of them.
Yeah, it's such a great 2023, right? Eastern League Pitcher of the Year with Somerset. And when you look at the totality of these last couple of years, from Double A last year with the Yankees, Triple A now making your major league debut, does all of it make you better? Does, the fact that you had, that you learned what you learned with the Yankees, now you're learning what you're learning with the Red Sox. Does that actually kind of create a better Richard Fitz because of everything you've gotten to do?
Definitely. One of the things that I say too is just when I'm my most confident, I'm my best. If I'm up on the mound and I'm not sure if I'm going to get somebody out, I'm not going to get them out. So just having the accolades of the pitcher of the year last year, that adds confidence, and coming over to the Red Sox where like I felt like they immediately just told me like, hey, like we really wanted to get you, and that just gives me confidence that like, hey, I've got people behind me, and they're gonna push me to be my best.
So we mentioned the Yankees, and obviously you were that rare player who's traded over from one side to the other. How much would you? How much are you anticipating? How much are you looking forward to the possibility of pitching in Yankee Stadium this coming weekend against the team
Yeah,
that traded you?
right. Well, just first off, not even take the trade out of it, just being able to have my first game in Fenway Park, and then the very next time, the first road trip being Yankee Stadium. That's just an unbelievable experience right there. I got buddies that are up with the team right now in Yankee Stadium, and I'm excited to look over and see them in the dugout. But honestly, like I'm just really excited to throw on another mound, and you know, like I said, it's two great organizations, and I'm happy to be wearing red right now, and but I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the pinstripes too.
So
In the
just to
few days,
clarify, like,
oh, go
oh,
ahead,
sorry.
Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. So just to clarify, like when you got through your homework on the drive, how were you able to sleep that night leading into your start? Were you calm? And do you anticipate, like assuming that you are making a start in Yankee Stadium, will you be nervous, sleepless, entering into a start in New York?
Yeah, Saturday night before my start, I think it took me a little bit longer to fall asleep, but I still slept pretty well. I woke up about 10 minutes before my alarm went off. Got to the field really early, but I got some pretty good sleep, good enough sleep where I felt rested. So, moving into Yankee Stadium, I think if I am able to have a start there, that I'm starting to get a little bit more comfortable up here, and we'll see when I get to a new hotel. But I feel pretty confident that I can get some good sleep and get well rested enough.
I asked you at the beginning, had you been able to put it in perspective yet? Is there a moment from that day, Sunday, that is resonating with you right now? Is it coming off the mound? Is it being surrounded by the team? Like, what is the moment that sort of you woke up thinking about on Monday?
Yeah, I think the moment that I'll never forget is walking off the mound. I walked off, just for one, handing the ball to Cora is awesome. That's the first thing that I think of, and then walking off the mound, I found my family and I saw my wife standing up. I could tell she was crying. She was just happy, and I look over, smile at them, and then I just took a moment to look around the whole stadium, and just seeing people stand up for me. It's unbelievable, and something that I'll have ingrained in my brain for the rest of my life.
And I've got to ask about the family. Like, how do you get 20 people from Alabama to Boston with about 5 hours notice? Like, who was the was it you in the car? Was it your parents? Who was the travel agent of this entire production?
Everybody was pretty much their own travel agent because I had brother in Kentucky, I have a friend that was in Tennessee, and then everyone else is in Alabama, and it's like, all right, well, they're driving to Atlanta to fly up. My parents are driving to the airport in Birmingham, and they're trying to get on a flight immediately. And then, I'm in the car. I'm like, I have my wife's phone and my phone, and I'm texting back and forth with everybody. I'm like, hey, did you find a flight? Did you find a flight? All right, well, then what about a hotel? And then as soon as the drive was over, it was all my wife. She did a great job of coordinating everybody. That she got everybody to meet up just for all the tickets and stuff to walk in at the same time. So it worked out perfect, and I can say that I did anything, but it was all my family and my wife.
Were you able to finish all of your homework assignments on that night, on that drive?
Yes, I had most of them done. So a lot of it was, I had to create like a reference page of some of my sources and for one of my papers, and then just submit it whenever I got back to the hotel. So yeah, I got all my homework done. Still waiting on the grades of them. I'm not sure how they are. I might have repeated the same paragraph because I was thinking about other things. But yeah,
We now know that you're a
Well,
multitasker. Yeah, this
yeah,
is impressive
no doubt.
juggling, though.
yeah. I don't I
You
don't know how well of a multitasker I am, but
Well, you passed the big test on Sunday, and then hopefully you ace the quiz on Monday. That's a pretty good weekend. Uh, Listen, it's
Absolutely.
been great spending a little time with you. We appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, and we'll see you at the ballpark. Congrats on the major league debut.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Congratulations,
Richard
Richard.
Fitz of the Red Sox joining us here on the 310 to Left podcast. Thanks for checking it out. We'll catch you again next time. For Alex, I'm Tom. See you at the ballpark.